All right. So to do this, we will need to go to our SFTP client here. Log in. CMS1, we can use, I think, the 1.5.31 credentials. Okay. Okay. So these are the certificates we need. One is called Common Core Server Certificate, and the other is the CA certificate. We have these here on the CMS. First one is CA certificate and the second is Common Core certificate. This is the server certificate. These are the two we need. So we need to edit them and create a full chain certificate. So for that purpose, we need it on our local PC. So on this side, I will just copy these first. Copy to desktop. To copy these certificates, you can just simply, or any items from here, from your local PC, any certificate you want to copy to the CMS or from CMS to your local PC, you can just simply drag and drop uh, in SCP app. You can drag and drop here. It gets copied. Copy the Common Core server certificate also. And we can see it is copied here in the desktop. Both. Let's just see these certificates on the desktop to verify. We can see. Yeah, okay. Just took some time. Okay, so it is copied on the desktop. We can open it in a text editor like Notepad. You see here, CA certificate is there and Common Core certificate is there. So let me open them one by one. And if I, let's suppose, open CA certificate, open with Notepad plus. This is our CA certificate. Let's open the Common Core certificate. This is the Common Core certificate. So let's do one thing. What we want to do is we need to merge these contents into one. This is a bigger one. Let's copy the content of the CA certificate. It is in the same here you can find. So what we want to do is we want to copy this code from CA certificate to the end certificate. Copy and go to the Common Core server certificate, the end, enter, and paste the CA certificate content here. So now we have a file with both of these. We will just save it as a separate file. Close this. I will save it as my desktop. Save as full chain .cer should be in all types. Save. Verify. So here we are creating it and then we will copy it to the CMS. What happened? No problem. Uh, all right. So the full chain certificate we created should be here. Yeah, it is here. We can view it, which is already open for us. So in here we have this. This is our full chain certificate. Make sure the file name is correct and the file name, whatever you're using, case sensitive file name should be used in the commands when we will enable these certificates and run this certificate on the CMS. So yeah, this is ready. Now what we have to do is we have to now copy this to CMS. So, and in our case, we have two CMS, CMS1 and CMS2 as we have the cluster. So we want to have it on both of our CMS one by one. So let's just minimize this, go to our first CMS, CMS1, and the full chain certificate we want to drag from here to CMS1. Okay, so on CMS1, this is added. Now we want to log into the second CMS by new session. Did Yeah, we are in the second one, and we can see we have CA certificate and Common Core certificate. We want to add the full chain from the local PC on this one as well, and it's added here. Now we need to enable these through the API through by accessing it through PuTTY. So we will log into PuTTY and go to the CMS one by one to both. And we have to enable these services. Basically, we are working on the web bridges here. Anyone joining? All right, so now both the servers have full chain certificates, which will be allowed, and it will allow us to deploy our web bridges, which is the prerequisite first for enabling these services. So the certificate part we have done on both the CMS server, server 1 and server 2, using the full chain certificate. Now, to deploy the web bridges, we will have to go to PuTTY first and enable it. So PuTTY, we first go to CMS1. Okay, we are in CMS1 now. So remember the web bridge, there are two interfaces of web bridge, one connecting to the users to web app and the second with the call bridge. So let's configure the interfaces connecting to users first. For that, the command will be web bridge. Now, in this case, as we are using CMS version 3 in this, not the one we configured earlier in our lab, which was 2.2 version. So in that, you do not have to define the web bridge version, but with this one, you have to. Otherwise, it will take the old web bridge version. So with the CMS 3, the compatible web bridge version also is 3. So we have to specify this in the command 3. So web bridge 3, HTTPS, listen, rest, everything remains the same as we configured yesterday also. Some changes will be there. Default port for the user. So this is the interface we are configuring for the users to connect to the web bridge. So it will be using the default 443 port. Okay, so by this, what we have done, we have enabled the web bridge 3 HTTPS service for the users to listen on port 443 to connect to the web app. Next would be web bridge 3 HTTPS. Call the certificates here for authentication. Command is certs common core, which is our server certificate key. We need the key. And the certificate is full chain. If I write it this way, it will not accept it. It has to be the correct file name in case sensitive format. So full chain .cer is the format. Okay, so common core dot key is the private key. Full chain .cer is the certificate, the full chain certificate that we have created and installed on the CMS. So the private key and public keys are matching because the public key is inside the server key. Now for interface to call bridge, we have configured the interface to the users. Now for the call bridge, to enable now these users to be able to connect to the calls, the call bridge needs to be connected with the web bridge. So to configure that, we will go to configure CMS with web bridge 3. For a call bridge, use the term C2W. Listen. You remember we discussed it in the theoretical part in the slides. There was one where it mentioned that a connection between the web bridge and the call bridge uses a default port of 999. Right? So this will be our listening port between the web bridge and call bridge. So call bridge listens on this port by default 9999. So this is what we have to enable. Then after this, we have to call the certificates the same way like we did for HTTPS for the users. So web bridge 3 C2W. C2W just simply means call bridge to web bridge. C2W certs, same command, common core dot key full chain RCER. Then we have to enable trust between the web bridge and the call bridge. So for that, we need the CA certificate to build a trust. Through the command, we enable that by web bridge 3 C2W trust CA. Again, the file name is capital CA, so you have to use it this way only. .cer. Okay, so to use CA certificate to authenticate call bridge, we have to give this command, and then lastly, we will enable web bridge. Success. So all our HTTPS full chain of certificate verifies correctly. C2W key and certificate pair matched. C2W full chain of certificates verifies correctly, and the web bridge 3 is enabled, which is good. Now the same thing we have to do on CMS2 also. Create a new session. CMS2. Okay, I am in CMS2 now, and here also let me quickly run all these commands again. So you can also see a recap of what we have configured previously. Web bridge 3, HTTPS, listen, A, listening port 443, enter, web bridge 3, HTTPS certs, common core dot key, core chain dot cer. Okay, to authenticate the private key with the full chain certificate. Then web bridge 3, E2W, listen. Let's do one thing before this. Let's enable the bridge, the HTTPS up to here. Certificate must be configured, no C2 trust. Okay. All right. So asking to create the C2 trust first. So let's do that and then we enable. So web bridge 3, C2W. This is because on the other server we have already enabled C2W trust. Listen A999, web bridge 3, C2W, certs, common key, word, dot key, full chain, dot CER, then web bridge 3, C2W, first, EA dot CER. These are the commands we just configured on the CMS1 also, so you can see all of these commands we need for the user interface. For the web app, these are the commands, and for the call bridge, these are the commands. C2W. Yeah. Once we have run these, we can now enable web bridge 3. The problem certificate does not exist. Web bridge 3 configuration not complete. Did we miss anything? Let's check on SCP is added. Yeah, we have the certificate, so that is fine. The problem is I think we missed some command here. Let's just on level 3 HTTP. Yes, question A 443. We works or even if a small typo happens, it doesn't accept all the file names and everything needs to match. CER bridge C2W trust CA.CR. Hope it works now. Average C. Okay, yeah, I think something was missing or maybe some typo. So it's working. We can see success, HTTPS keys and certificate pair match, HTTPS full chain of certificate verifies correctly, C2W key and certificate pair matched, and the full chain certificate verifies correctly. So which is good. Now both the web bridges are running on CMS1, other on CMS2. Now we need to tell the call bridge to trust the web bridges. So for that, some additional commands we need to run are for the call bridge to trust the web bridge. Call bridge trust C2W CA.certificate. So it will use the CA certificate to authenticate the web bridge certificate. That's what is needed to authenticate the web bridge. So we want to use that here in the trust C2W, which is the call bridge to web bridge link, and authenticate it with the CA certificate. Then we need to it should show success, key and certificate pair match, certificate verified against CA bundle and C2W trust bundle passed, which is good. We can now go to the new session with CMS1. And the last two commands only we need to run now, rest we did earlier. The bridge trust C2W. To use the CA certificate to authenticate web bridge certificate, and then call bridge restart. That's it. Just one command and then restart. 31, 32. Yeah. So on both our CMS1 and 2, we have enabled this. We have told the call bridges to trust the web bridges now. So that part, the authentication certificate part is completed. Now we need to we need to tell the call bridge that where the web bridges are. So they should be able to locate the web bridge. And for that, we will need to do some configuration. And for that configuration, we will use the API. So for API, we will log into CMS. If you use this, you will be taken to the CMS, the web app for the users. We don't want to use the web app. So, okay, so we will go to configuration API. So one more type of API configuration we will be able to see here is for the web bridge. We will go to web bridge. Yeah, this is the one. Web bridges, not the web bridge profile, this one. Web bridges we need. Node Okay, under object ID, there's nothing, so no object is being created yet. We will create new. When you'll create new, it will ask you for some information here. So we specifically need the URL. Click the URL box to enable it and put the URL. So in our lab, the URL which is created for the web app to be used as in the web bridge is p2w colon there's a CMS 1 for CMS 1 dot cll hyphen collab dot intern. Click C2W colon backslash CMS1 dot CLL hyphen collab dot internal. Let's also put the port number, which is 9999. Click create. This is for the call bridge, so we are not using the other default port. This is to connect to the web bridge for the call bridge. We want to add one more for the CMS2. Back to the web bridges. Within this web bridge, add one more URL. I'll just modify this to cms2 dot cll hyphen collab dot internal. Yeah, that is fine. Click modify. Is added. I want to create one more. Should add to find. Yeah, okay. Now we have two. Both are added. So if you go to web bridges, two of the URL are created for two web bridges, one for CMS1, the other for CMS2. That is fine. So this is done. Now our call bridge should be connected to our web bridge. We can check logs, event log, and you should see this established. P2W connection to web bridge established log, which is a good status. Fine. So this is done. After that, we will test our call bridge from the user standpoint also. So now we need to test the solution that it is working fine. The way we are going to do is connecting two web app users together in the same space through the web bridge.